I'm Kailan from EGX Games, and I'm here, hopefully interviewing Fear Effect Sedna behind me. Here interviewing
Thibaut, I'm art director of the project.
Benjamin, CEO.
Awesome. So let's jump into like the most basic question. Like, some people would be familiar with like Fear Effect series, I'm sure. Would you mind explaining what Fear Effect Sedna is?
Okay, so it's basically it's the sequel for the first Fear Effect. So because the Fear Effect Retro Helix was before the first. So it takes place 4 years after Fear Effect, and it's basically a whole new mission. So Hannah and Rain receives a new mission, and they will take them in different places, new places, because it was based in China and mainly Hong Kong. Now we decided to explore new places in the world, like France, Greenland. So here.
I mean, speaking of that, like you mentioned that there has been this shift from like what was Chinese mythology, like going all the way to hell in the original game, and now we're exploring the Greenland Inuit culture. Why this shift of mythology?
Basically because they explored Chinese mythology a lot, so there was nothing we could reinvent or create based on this. So we thought it was a good idea to explore this culture, especially because it's something we don't see often, and it's like, and we all like cold places and the like, and it was something that could bring something very new to the series, like ice caves and all, like snowy places, and we thought it was interesting. So culturally speaking, because there's a whole new mythology to explore and discover, and environmentally speaking, because it brings something new graphically.
And I would say that the Inuit mythology is very different from the Chinese mythology, but you can still find very creepy creatures. It very fits the Fear Effect spirit and atmosphere, and I think that's already what people who played the game say, that it's not the same mythology, but we have the same atmosphere etc. in the game.
Yeah, like recapturing that like horror atmosphere of like creeping down, like basically a dark narrative. So speaking of narratives, so in the original Fear Effect game, there were, I believe there were like 3 endings. There was the glass ending, the Hannah ending, and then like the true ending. Will Fear Effect Sedna have multiple endings, and will it be a linear journey?
Will that be considered a spoiler?
Fair enough.
we liked it.
We want to respect the matches.
That's it. We liked it in the first game. So yeah,
maybe.
Possibly.
It's something we definitely consider.
Something to possibly hunt out. With this being a brand new setting for the Fear Effect series, will this be the only Fear Effect title in the setting?
Currently we're only working on this episode, but it's true that if the players like the game and if it sells well, we imagine a story, we can have a sequel.
The story will probably be open in the end for it won't just close the story.
So it won't be like a closed finale to like a trilogy. It will be like an open possibility of possible sequels.
Yeah, probably open possibility. Yeah.
All right. So stepping into more behind-the-scenes territory, I was wondering how many of the developers at Sushee were from the original Kronos team who made Fear Effect.
In fact, nobody, but we're working with 2 former people from Kronos. We're working with George Soplaten, but externally, not in Sushee, externally, was the writer of Fear Effect 1, and he's working with Lucy, who was our writer, and was also working with Matt Furniss, was a musician from Fear Effect 1, and was working with Sebastian, was our musician. So.
Another like interesting part I'm curious about in terms of the behind-the-scenes aspect of like Fear Effect is like the sort of why now part. You know, Fear Effect Inferno was cancelled roughly around 2004, I believe, and yet we are now seeing it today in 2017. So why now?
Why not? The first reason is that Square Enix opened the license for Indie Studio, and the game fits what we wanted to do with Thibaut in terms of story, characters, artistic direction, etc. So it was the right moment. We made a pitch to Square Enix and they liked the pitch, so we said, okay, let's work on the game.
So, so the idea of what kind of story and mechanics and things like that came first, and then the property came second?
Not really, but we released our first game 1 year ago, and it was already about strong characters, mysterious atmosphere, etc. And obviously it's very different from Fear Effect, but we think that there are common things between the two games.
Definitely, it's more like dark stories, and we like all that's like demonology, occult, and all the like. So it was natural for us to go for Fear Effect because obviously we love the first games, but also it really fitted what the team liked building as in terms of world and story.
So it's like you knew what kind of game you wanted to make, and you were already fans of like the series anyway, so it was just like, well, why not actually make the game you want and contribute to a series that you enjoy quite thoroughly?
Yeah, exactly.
That's it, yeah.
All right. While we're on the subject, in terms of like the original Fear Effect and how it compares to this, to Sedna, the most noticeable difference is the shift in gameplay from static camera, like action title, to more of an isometric top-down strategy title. Why do this shift?
First reason is, I don't know if you played Fear Effect recently, 1 and 2, but I mean it's tank control, and you cannot play this kind of game anymore today because it's for a new audience, very difficult to understand, to play, not very funny. It was very, very great back in the 90s, but today it's very difficult to play this kind of game. So we knew that we wanted to change the gameplay. Another reason is that we think that Fear Effect is about teamwork. It's a team, and we find it a bit strange that we play only one character one after another, and we said, why not playing 5 characters at the same time? And we are really focusing on teamwork. I mean, you can play all characters in the same time. You have synergy skills, so if you use a skill in the same time with another character, you have a new skill appearing, etc. So it's really about teamwork, how team reacts, relationship between the members of the team.
The idea was not only seeing how they talk to each other, how they like each other or not, but see how that reflects on the battlefield. It means that they, you see them interact with each other, not only talking to each other, but also fighting with each other and fighting against a common enemy. And that was what we wanted to see.
And not only during the cutscenes, but also during the fight. We will have conversations between characters during the fight. And we think it's very, very interesting.
So you're saying like, I mean, one of the interesting things you mentioned was the idea of like reflecting is like them cooperating with each other and liking each other and fighting with each other and reflecting it with the mechanics. What I'm curious about is how would you reflect, like say Glass and Deke have a punch up. Does that reflect in the mechanics in some way? And like say their stress kind of gets altered or something similar like that?
Yeah, the stress, it increases with each weird stuff you see or during combat when you have low life, etc. And we have points in the game. And sometimes they will see something or do something that will make their stress lower, And maybe, a pun or a joke from one of the members can make the stress lower. And that's will be one specific character with interacting with another. That's definitely one of the things we want to see and show.
All right. And while we're talking about stress, one of the interesting parts is usually a lot of games, they show stress as this horrid, bad, awful thing, you know. Like Darkest Dungeon, for instance, if you stress your players out too much, they crack and they start sobbing uncontrollably in the corner, and it's awful for everyone. But unusually, and kind of like real life, stress is a double-edged sword in your game, where high stress and low stress can have their benefits. Could you talk more about how they alter the mechanics?
The base concept is that a higher stress will make the character have more firepower, because it will just do heroic things in the action, but also stupid thing, and thus have less armor. So they'll be less focused, but more powerful. That's the basic. And then we're testing right now how the stress level can affect the skills too. Maybe it can slightly change how a skill works. Maybe for a bullet that would bounce between the enemies, maybe it can bounce on two more enemies. It's something that can be. So you will have to maintain a certain level of stress if you want really to have more powerful skills and more powerful attacks. And they basically play like a glass cannon and have a. All right. So yeah, it's basically a balance between high and low stress and maintaining. Maybe you want to maintain a medium stress, so you just have a more diverse experience.
It's like walking the balancing beam depending on your playstyle.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
All right. You mentioned about skills being altered along the way. Would you mind elaborating about how the skills system works in Fear Effect Sedna?
So there's the skills. We have 2 skills per character. It's one skill is it's basically another weapon. So like Dick will have a flamethrower. Rain will have a taser gun to electrocute enemies, and each skill has really different play style. Like some will attract enemies, some other will push them backwards, some will alter multiple enemies, some will be one target at a time. And there's this synergy system that, for example, you put a damage over time on an enemy, and you will. I talked about the bouncing bullet before because it's a good example. The bullet will not only bounce but also apply the damage over time on each enemy it bounces on. So that's how it likes basically. It's just 2 skills. It seems a little, but with more characters, it's a lot to manage at the same time. It makes for great tactics and
All right.
different play styles too.
Another thing that I was kind of curious about, in a lot of like strategy titles, we see like a loot system, even really crude ones where they'll say, okay, you pick an assault rifle instead of a shotgun or whatever. Will Fear Effect Sedna have such a system?
You will loot ammo most of the time, medkits, and maybe objects to lower or increase your stress. We're still working on it, but it's basically that's all. And special objects for the story, like keys, magnetic cards, and the like. So yeah, it's very very basic because we don't want the player to be overwhelmed with weapons, different weapons, and all. Each skill is a weapon. You have it from the start, and you just loot ammo for this weapon.
So another commonality you see in a lot of like strategy titles is the use of cover. You know, otherwise your character's just going to get shot and it just turns into pinging bullets back and forth until one falls over. How will Fear Effect Sedna handle cover?
In a very simple way. It's when you see a cover, you can choose to get to cover or not. when you take very little damage, and you can do things such as heal yourself or prepare your attack, choose another skill and the like. When you go out of cover to shoot, then you're exposed. It's not like just you're behind the object, so you're hidden and you never get touched. It's not like this. It's as soon as you try to harm an enemy, you will be exposed. So basically, you just choose to put some of your characters on cover because they have low health. You stay down. You will not shoot, and you use the others, or choose to get to cover just to have a backup solution in case you're too low health or your stress is too high. So it's very simple. You just get to cover to take less damage.
All right, and can you be flanked?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, and another curious question is like there's like one or two strategy titles I've seen do this, and I'm kind of curious because of the skill system. Will you be able to create your own cover, like I don't know, like flipping tables over, or even somehow deploying cover of some kind?
No, we didn't think about no.
All right, like no flipping tables then for that. All right.
It could work, but we didn't plan it.
Oh well. So another, like maybe lesser known part of Fear Effect that kind of does get some love is the puzzle system. You know, the fact that they'll give you a choice, and if you mess it up, then you die and have to load the save and stumble back. But up to the stumbling back part, you know, it's kind of always interesting. So how will Fear Effect Sedna be bringing back the puzzles of old?
Actually, it will kind of be the same kind of puzzles, really. It's you have this specific screen where you have buttons to manage, and like I don't have examples. There's one that you can try and see how it triggers a death scene when you fail. It's just instant death, and you have to try it again. For now, they're not that challenging for now, but we plan to make some more challenging in the end of the game, and yeah.
It's part of what we were interested in, because our first game, Goetia, is full of puzzles, so we really want to have good puzzles in Fear Effect.
We definitely know how to do them, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. It's just like a good puzzle can really like up the tension and kind of like really make you through what you're doing, rather than like mindlessly like go through like a campaign in a game or something like that, you know. So with that said, is there a release date stumbling about somewhere?
What we announced yet is that it's going to be released in the second half of this year.
Do you know what format's for?
Yeah, we announced it on PC, Xbox One, PS4, and Mac.
Do you have a price it will be sold for?
I don't have the price, I don't remember, but I think during the Kickstarter it was 20 euros for the game, and it's going to be a little more expensive on Steam, because we want to encourage the Kickstarter campaign and backers, so maybe 22, 25 euros, we will see.
All right. And with that, do you know where people will be able to find this game?
You can find the updates on the Kickstarter page, because we are trying to update the game as often as we can, but it's sometimes hard for the backers, but the development is running smoothly, but we are very focused. So on Kickstarter, we have a Twitter account, Facebook account,
and that's basically it.
Yeah. And they can find all those on the Kickstarter page.
Yeah, we have updates with screenshots, new characters, etc. So yeah, Kickstarter page is definitely a good.
Keep people updated with new content. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks a ton for taking part in the interview.
Thank you.
Thank you.